Every once in a while, a motorcycle manufacturer steps up to the bat and presents a motorcycle that appears to have it all: an affordable price tag, good looks, and exciting performance. Well, when it comes to Yamaha's new middleweight parallel twin, the FZ-07, it appears to be a hit right out of the park. Powering the 07 is an all-new fuel-injected, liquid-cooled 689cc parallel twin, said to produce an impressive 75 horsepower and 50 foot-pounds of torque. Here's what Inside Motorcycles journalist Larry Tate had to say after a day in the saddle.
So Larry, Yamaha is super excited about this motorcycle. They've been talking about it coming to our country for months and months and months. I know when I looked at it for the very first time, I was like, wow, nice bike. It's so small. What was your first impression?
Nice bike. It's really small.
Yeah, I mean, compact.
It's really in the line with a whole new philosophy that Yamaha's had the last few years in engine design and also in the overall kind of look and feel of the bike.
Yeah, I think part of the fun of that motor is it feels low. I don't know how they've done that, but it feels like it's low in the chassis, so you get that nice C of G.
Yeah, well, it is fairly low to start with. I mean, the fuel tank is kind of down in here. It's not sitting up top, which is pretty common in a lot of designs now. The rad's fairly low. You can see the engine's canted forward a little bit, which moves a little bit more weight down. It's very short, partly because the transmission has got stacked shafts inside,
right,
okay, so they're vertical, so the whole thing is a little bit shorter, which makes for a longer swing arm as allowed, which gives a little bit more stability, while still allowing you a fairly steep front end so you can turn quickly. It's a really nice piece of work.
Yep. And the sound is very distinctive. It sounds, again, a bit like a single, but it also sounds a bit like a twin.
Yeah, well, riding it, I can't hear the exhaust very much, but there's a nice intake roar too. Like they've obviously spent some time on the airbox, getting that kind of a twin, single, triple noise to it. It's very, very different from the whine you get from a four-cylinder bike.
So we like the motor. You and I both agree on the motor. The brakes, you know, it pretty much stops on a dime. You've got those nice discs up front.
It's quick. They're, you know, Yamaha makes their own monoblock calipers, which are very strong and they work really well. The pedal shape on the front discs, I don't know, they say it's supposed to be better for heat dissipation. I think it's more a fashion statement than anything else.
Yeah.
The suspension is relatively basic. The front is not adjustable. The rear, which you can see, has got a lay-down shock. It's almost horizontal. You can adjust that slightly. There's a rebound damping adjuster and also compression on it. The response was fine without it bouncing around, so it's a pretty good job for a fairly basic suspension unit. I think it's great.
Larry, this saddle is quite interesting. I mean, it's really carved in here, and yet it's quite generous and wide at the back. How did you find it?
It's hard to say how it would be over a long term. You know, for the short term that we were on, like an hour off kind of thing, it was fine. The nice thing about it's not that thick, so you don't know how the padding will last, but the fact that it's fairly flat and broad back here says it'll probably be not too bad. The nice thing about the way it's carved away up here is with the narrow bike itself, I mean, you're actually behind the engine at that point. It's nice and narrow, so somebody with a short inseam will easily get their feet. I can get both feet flat in the ground and I'm only 5'8", so, you know, anybody, I think, of a halfway normal stature should be able to comfortably sit on this bike and control it at low speeds.
Right. If somebody said, what's your one standout impression, what will it be for this particular bike?
Fun.
Fun.
It really wants to wheelie. As I say, I'd love to get it on a track because it's so light, steers so well. Lots of power, lots of grunt. It's about 75 horsepower, if I remember Yamaha specs properly, and about 45 foot-pounds of torque, which again is really strong.
Yeah.
And it feels like it. I mean, it's strong right off idle. It wants to go. As I say, you can tour on it, light touring. I don't know if Yamaha is going to have accessories for it, like saddlebags, or I'm sure GV or somebody else in the aftermarket will eventually.
Yeah.
So you could make it more of a tourer if you wanted to, but just for an all-around bike, if you're commuting, going to school, going to work, or just weekend day trips, it's awesome, awesome value for the money.
Great job, Larry.
Thank you.
Glad you had so much fun today.
Yeah, it was good.